Welcome to the Better Questions Podcast, a show where we dare to go deeper. We are opening space for more honest conversation, slow, meaningful insights in a fast-moving world. Every week we pick a topic and sit down with thinkers, doers, and challengers, not only to hear not what they already know, but to explore what they are still learning. Maybe the right question at the right time can change everything. And now, here's the host of the Better Questions Podcast, Kevin Hoey.
You tell me where you want to go. I want to know everything, right? I just want to dig in. I'm a huge fan right off the rip. I think you got alternative version of Christianity that I find much peace and comfort in. You've got this political party. I don't know if you want to talk about the inception story. I don't know what's best for you. You don't need me. I don't have any reach currently. I can tell you this. I just want to help. I don't need to do another anew, right? I've been very reticent. I don't want to start another sect of Christianity, but I think love should prevail, and it doesn't in our current. So where do you want to go? I could take it anywhere.
You ask me. You let me know what you want to know about or talk about.
Yeah. So just tell me, I guess, if you don't mind, I always do this, is just, I'd love to know who you are, how you came to be. I'd love to hear the founder story. And then really what's the priority right now? I would assume it's this American Congressional Party. Did I say that right?
Yeah. American Congress Party, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Long story. My entire life I was brought up Presbyterian and kind of always felt like there was something off with society. Something was wrong. Didn't know what it was. Found it always weird that we were choosing the lesser between two evils when it came to who our president was. And, picking the lesser of two evils is still picking evil. And so kind of had that in the background, the spiritual aspect, the political aspect. And then my first kind of awakening to all of it was in 2015. 2015, the Presbytery, which I would have called myself, not knowing what it was, they decided to change the Bible from, was it between a man and a woman? Marriage was between a man and a woman to marriage is between two people. And for me, I was very confused by that because I wasn't sure what, I didn't understand. I thought this is the word of God, how are you able to change the word of God? So flash forward and I come to a point where I start discovering kind of my own spirituality and what that means, and then decided over time to kind of run for Congress, get involved politically, realizing that if we needed a spiritual revolution, we had to do a political revolution as well.
And so they changed the Bible on you, which is a red flag, 2015. And then how do you come to find, I call it universal wisdom, right? It just keeps coming up. It's it's there in Buddhism. It's there. It's it's actually the intersections of all of what we're actually seeking, and we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
How do you land that plane? How do you divert from what you've always known?
Well, always asking questions is definitely a good starting point. And then I would say I was very much a curious spiritual seeker. And so then I would say that through my podcast, having on spiritual people, I eventually had on someone named Brandon Conceição, who's the president of the American Congress Party and technically the founder. And we had a great podcast. It's out there. I think it's number 92 or something like that. And he introduced me to his mentor, his guru, who lives in India, who's creating world peace, who's creating peace on earth. He's creating a heaven city in Mysore, India. And I thought, hey, I'm not doing anything else with my life. That sounds like the ultimate goal of what I could aim for. And so that was probably about 2.5 years ago. And so I've been studying under him since then. And life has dramatically increased in more ways than one since then.
It's so crazy. You've got the peace of the world. You think you know Jesus, and then you find, I call it his actual eternal truth, right? It's so next level. It's so next level.
Yeah. I think the biggest issue I'd say with the Bible, it's not really the Bible necessarily. The more I kind of think about it, it's more the interpretation of it. I would say a lot of what the Bible is true and did happen. I think the way that people have interpreted a lot of the scripture has become malevolent in nature. And so I think that a lot of the things that people think they're doing that's correct is really the things that people are doing they think are divine but are really demonic in nature. And the big one for me that really opened up my eyes to this was two things. Number one is praising Jesus on the cross. So I have behind me a picture of Jesus. I can send you an image a little bit later, but basically, every single church you go into, right, Jesus will be unconscious, blood will be pouring out of him, his hands are tied, his feet are tied, and then you're supposed to pray to him. The problem is, though, is that if I tie your feet, Kevin, if I tie your hands, if I make you unconscious and I ask you to help me, are you going to be able to help me? Not at all. So one of the big things is realizing that we do have to worship him on a throne. The picture I have, I can send you this picture.
Yeah, please do.
I'll send it to your Instagram. So, I mean, if you're looking for that, if you're looking for exoteric truth, print that out, put it on a piece of cardboard or something, like, frame it, if you will, and pray to that for a couple times. Avoid amen, because I found out that that's a demon. Fun stuff there. But without diving too deep, yeah. So, of course, speaking on that, right, all the prayers we say, we end them with amen. So all of the energy from that prayer is technically going to that demon. It's not even going to Jesus. So pray to Jesus, honor him as a king. And then the next big thing was the Eucharist or communion. We're told that we're supposed to eat the flesh of Jesus, drink the blood of Jesus, and we'll become more like him. But the thing is if you take a baby and you eat a baby's flesh and drink a baby's blood, do you become a baby or do you become a demon?
A demon, I would say.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So communion, I've come to find out, is really I don't use this phrase lightly, but definitely a satanic ritual of sorts. So,
Dude, that's so wild. That's so wild. So you're in a whole new, yeah, I've got more to learn because neither of those are something I've found, but makes perfect sense.
yeah. Yeah. Go
Well,
ahead.
and so go ahead.
No, go ahead. It's all you.
Yeah, I'm curious to know. I mean, and I'd love to stay in spirituality. I could just back and forth with you forever because it sounds like you've got wisdom that I don't have or newfound discovery that I'd love to probe into. But I really want to camp on this American Congress Party, the third party. I'm just a believer in what you said, like two lesser of two evils. We're still picking evil, and it's gross and it's terrible. I've seen the website. It's like, now's the time. I get that. And then I think really what's wildly bold of you is I'm sure you've faced the pressure of the church, right? Having left it, air quotes, for a different version of faith. Do you think that that's going to hurt the ability, or do you think that's going to enhance the ability of the third party, right? So you take a Christian nation and you bring a third party that's also in this spiritual realm, but which I find very few even have the appetite to try to understand before they're going to disavow you as a heretic or a blasphemer, right? Is that calculated on purpose, or it is who you are, and how do you see that?
Well, I would say first and foremost, I don't know that I have been doing a good job of maybe articulating this on my reels, and I could probably do a better job of it. But essentially, I don't feel that anything I say goes against the Bible. It's not me going against the Bible. I think that the power structure of Christianity is the thing that is perpetuating evil. And maybe you could argue it's the interpretation of how people have seen the Bible, right? So for a few examples that we kind of gave you there, right? Another one you could look at is that people believe that they're supposed to be poor. They're supposed to be in poverty. Luxury is evil. Luxury is a bad thing. Wealth is a bad thing. Meanwhile, if you look at the Vatican, it's probably the most luxurious, the most wealthy entity on earth. And it's Catholic, but it's a Christian Catholic, so it's in the same ballpark, and yet those are the people who are telling us to be poor. So it's very hypocritical. And then you look at all of the evil that the priesthood has done, that the Catholic Church has done, the hiding of what they've done to young kids. So it's really not, I guess I And again, with a reel, it's kind of difficult to say all of that. But it's not so much that I'm against the Bible or against Christianity, against really any religion. I just believe that there are ways of interpreting knowledge that brings comfort, that brings calmness, that brings you on the divine path instead of going down a demonic path.
Totally get it. So how does, if you don't mind, and I don't know if you're down to dig into your background, so 2 years ago you find this new faith path, and then I don't know, I haven't found it. You join ranks with Brandon, and we're starting a third party. I understand you can't fix anything without politics, so it's a necessary evil. But I know you got a lot of things going. So you got the pod.
Well, I wouldn't even say it's a necessary evil. See, I think one of the big issues, and I tackle this in one of the books that I'm coming out with soon, which is, we've been led to believe that politics is evil, that money is evil, that power is evil, when the reality is that those three things are neutral. Political. What has happened though is that the people in charge who have those energies, who have the power, who have the monetary power, who have the political power, they're being guided down a demonic path, an evil path, sure, we can say. So we think that it's the money and it's the political power that's evil, when the reality is that power is just neutral. How we use power determines our karma. Is it good? Is it bad? All of those things. So I don't even say that power is evil, money isn't evil, or political power is evil. It's just power. How you use that power is what determines whether it's demonic or divine.
Totally get it and agree. So are you, I mean, you're busy, right? So are you making money selling books? Do you have another vocation? Is this a full-time gig? I mean, I'm entering into the social media space, and I'm almost hopeful that I don't have to, because you're doing it, Brandon's doing it. And I don't know, are you in tight with Nathan Apple at all? Are you in the religious business? Okay. APFFEL, I think. If you look up religious business, he's kind of like, he's waging a war against the big evil monopoly of the church.
AFFEL?
APFFEL, I think. I can send him to you. But you don't know him. Is this a full-time thing for you? And you haven't run yet. You're running. When is your race? I'm not in Pennsylvania. I wish I was. You have my vote.
I appreciate it. Well, I ran last year or 2 years ago with the American Congress Party in Pennsylvania. Right now I'm residing in South Carolina. So I haven't fully announced yet. It just hasn't been the right time. But I'll run at least for U.S. House of Representatives at some capacity.
Okay. And you're thinking South Carolina, or you're not sure?
We're not sure yet. We'll see.
Okay.
We'll see what happens, but it has not been the right time to announce yet.
And for us, let's say we're like, we want to see this work. What do you guys need? So you already have your community, and I'll just advertise. I don't like to subscribe. There's so many people that I adore. It's like I can't subscribe to everybody, right? I can't, and so what? And I will, though. Assume I'm capable. Like, what is it? How do we support what you guys are doing the best way?
Sure. I mean, a high level, first of all, just having conversations like this, like you just having that knowledge is supporting the mission, right? Supporting bringing one more person off of the demonic path. I would say big picture, right? Podcast hosting is great. If you know other people with podcast hosts, getting the message out is huge. This is really going to be a word of mouth campaign will be big. Following on social media platforms, following the podcast. You can support anyhow, donations to American Congress Party or buying the ebooks, stuff like that. All the way up to I'm kind of meeting with some people who want to get involved with it, with the American Congress Party at a leadership level. Yeah, so we're still hiring people who can kind of fit into different areas, whether they're small business outreach, the Latino community, stuff like that. So we're very much growing in that regard. So it could all be down from just following on Instagram, liking posts, all the way up to dedicating time to the American Congress Party.
And so you didn't say the words committee, but are you putting together like a leadership committee? Is that on the horizon? You're gonna put leaders together to say like that can come and beyond just following and spreading the word? Is that's going to be an opportunity for us?
Yeah. I'll send you a link if you want to apply.
Please.
Right now. Yeah. So we go through. All right, the link should be on Instagram.
Got it.
Yeah,
I
so I
feel
go
dumb.
through that.
I looked for it. I didn't find it. I guess I'm not as smart as I'm telling.
Hidden. It's not exactly in your face. I think I hit it at the bottom of the leadership. Yeah, at the bottom of the leadership, there's a join the movement, and then it says apply for leadership, but it's not, there isn't like a dedicated page to it. So it's kind of supposed to be hidden a little bit.
Well, I'm glad I got the secret code. I just think it's awesome. I think we need better. So, how do you and Brandon? It seems like you've got wind in your sails on the following side. Is Brandon hoping to run? Or are you guys hoping to have a bunch of people running? Is it like we got to get our first seat, or kind of what?
Sure.
If we do, if what's the plan? Tell me the plan. Let me, if I may. If it's too
What's the
soon, if you don't
plan?
want to say, you don't have to say.
Well, the plan is to become powerful and save Mother Nature. So there's definitely a plan, but we have to enjoy this moment. So many people will put our minds into the future, right? This needs to happen, then this needs to happen. I have to be president by this date and then this time. Put that out of mind. Don't think about the future. Don't think about the past. Just enjoy the
Live in
present
the
moment.
present.
Yeah. The future will create problems. The past will create problems. You have to enjoy this moment. The more you can enjoy this moment, the more you'll start to see the bigger picture. So the real question, I guess, for you to ask yourself is like, what brings you more joy? How are you able to contribute to this movement, right? And it's bigger than the American Congress Party. It's about the entire world. It's about saving nature. It's about saving the children of nature. It's saving our brothers, our sisters, our mothers, our fathers. And so really in this present moment, the question to ask yourself is, what could I do that what I would, while enjoying, can still do to contribute to that mission?
That's awesome. Yeah, and I guess I don't know if you're answering the question rhetorically or not, but to answer for me, it's like I firmly believe the most dangerous thing in and around us is the divisive nature, and I think it's a glitch. It's an unintended, and it's like I'll die trying if I can bring. I don't, I always say like somebody give me a good reason why America and China are going to go to war and tell me who it's good for. It's like that's stupid. That's just stupid ideology, and it goes, so I'm like whatever I have to do. I thought for 13 years I've been like I can do this from the shadows, and now it's like, well, I guess I got to go emerge in social. And honestly, when I found you and a few others, I'm like, dude, maybe I can do it in the background because I don't. It doesn't matter to me, but it's like. I don't know. Are you getting recognized at the grocery store? That's my big thing. Is like I just want to be able to go to the grocery store and be left alone. But I don't know.
What can I say? I would say start with the picture I sent you of Jesus. I would say for at least the next 3 days, pray to him. Ask him for help. Ask him for guidance. Ask him to lead you. And let's see what happens. The energies will shift a little bit. Once you stop using amen, once you stop, I don't know if you've ever done it, but communion or Eucharist or praying to him on the cross. If you have any crosses in your house, throw them out. Once you start doing that, then you'll be able to see more clearly. Because right now, spiritually and physically, we're all poisoned. You see so many people who think that, spiritually speaking, you see so many people who take communion and think that they're getting closer to Jesus. They're becoming more divine when the opposite's happening. Physically speaking, we're poisoning our water, we're poisoning our food, we're poisoning the air we breathe, and we're poisoning our mind with programming. You should hate Russia, you should hate Ukraine, you should hate Gaza, you should hate Israel. When the reality is that it's the leaders who are telling the common people to die. And we need to stand with the common people. They are the ones who should be powerful. Jesus was a common person, for instance, right? He was a carpenter, he was a shepherd, common person. So him being on the cross is why the common people are suffering. So come out of suffering. When you come out of suffering, everything will take care of itself. When you enjoy the present moment, it won't matter if people see you at the grocery store. It won't matter if nobody sees you at the grocery store. You'll enjoy the same things the same way. That's the divine path.
And how do I help? how do I help people? So for the skeptics that are going to hear this, dude, and it's like you said take the cross down and lost, thousands of people are like, oh, forget that. How do we help bridge that gap for them to know that you're not a cuckoo? And I'll go first. I feel like you used the magic word of curiosity, right? I think it's the last remaining or superpower that humans have is our ability to imagine the world different as it used to be, right? And we're persecuting it, right? If you're ADD, like our hegemonic pursuit is to like flatten everybody. So if you're ADD, we medicate you and say that you're special, right? And then we wonder why only so few people are able to do great things. And it's all in that imagination, that curiosity. And it's like, for me, I'm looking at you going, hey man, I feel like you're skipping steps because nobody knows how to think, right? Like I'm like, we gotta, and I don't mean to be critical, but I'm like, the world can't reckon with imagination. It's like if you try to do something revolutionary, you're misunderstood. And I'm looking at you going, you guys are leading like 3 revolutions. And like, wait a minute. And I'm like, step one is we got to teach people how to think and remind people that like they are on a bad thinking pattern, right? And so anyway, go ahead. I like, yeah.
There's a lot of different things coming up. I'll say the number one thing, especially that my guru has always taught me, is experience. Experience is the greatest teacher in the entire world. You can read every single book in the entire world about how to become a chef, how to cook, how to best recipes, but if you never turn on an oven, then you're not a chef.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
when you turn on that first oven, you'll start to realize and learn little things that you could have never experienced in the first place. So that's one part. The second part is I definitely know things behind the scenes that are going on, but I don't speak on things that are not public knowledge. Everything that I speak on publicly, you can find, you can verify. There's either, websites or there's articles like mainstream media, Fox News or CNN has promoted, they've talked about it. So I'll only speak publicly about those things. Other than that, speaking on things like spiritual, it's like, try it. What do you have to lose? It's if we speak spiritually speaking. I was on Sean Kelly, a digital social hour recently, and I said something crazy about how you can fix a cold by just eating hot sauce. And the reason that I can say it with so much confidence is if you try it, if you experience it, you'll see what I'm saying. So either you try it and then you think I'm crazy, but if I know I'm right, I know you're going to try it if you try it. And I know the reality. I know the reaction that's going to happen because of it. So I only speak on things that either has been proven publicly or that I've personally experienced for myself.
And I think that's wisdom. And when you say I know things are going on, like there's things spiritually that you can't speak to, or when you say that, I think the listener might hear you. Like, are you talking about the power structures of the world that have insider information? Or are you talking about the way the world works behind the surface? Like we're all living a shallow existence. I don't want to say that, but many of us are living very shallow relative to the depth of the world around us, right? Is that more what you're speaking to? Or are you speaking to the power, your knowledge of power structures as you see them?
It's a little bit of everything. It's a little bit of everything.
Okay, that's rad.
Yeah.
And so, right, and you get the world. So you see this spiritual pursuit in total alignment with the political pursuit. They are the same. It's the same. Got it. And so, yeah, I mean, I guess it's like we just need to spread the word. Are we hoping? Are we understanding that we're living in the present? So I'm trying not to give a goalpost to go run after and do the human nature thing. But I'm like, are we? I'm saying we because I'm in, but I know that I got to get through the gate yet, right? But are we hoping to first see fleet of American Congress Party in Congress and then Senate, and then hopefully yourself or somebody else is going to be equipped by the divine or the world or whatever to one day make a presidential run? Do we have goals like that, or we're just like, hey, we're going to speak our message and see what happens, or how does that look for you guys?
One day, yes. One day, let's see. Okay, I can for sure say one day I'll be president of the United States. And
everybody's going to say you're a psychopath for saying that, but that's awesome, man. I believe it.
It's the crazy people who change the world, so that's fine.
Yeah.
I welcome it.
Yeah.
I mean, people said the same thing about Trump, and look where we're at now.
Hey man, I'm just glad I don't have to do it because I had a premonition that I was going to have to do. I was like, that is the last thing. I just do not. That's cool, man.
But I don't. So I'm not going to speak specifically on what you're going through or like what your process is or your path, but just enjoy. You see, people. You kind of touched on this a little about how people are thinking improperly. Everybody is. I did for the first 29 years of my life until I found my guru, and I'm still learning how to properly think, if you will. The brain causes causes plenty of mistakes. See, if you ask a rapist or a murderer, 99% of the time they'll say they were right. They won't have remorse. I did the right thing. I needed to steal this thing. I needed to kill that person. It was the right thing. Because the thoughts they get, their mind is being controlled by different energies. So it's ironic, but don't think. Enjoy the present moment.
I get it just enough to know what you're talking about. I'm just like thinking of all the people that are not just going to think two psychos got on a pod. I hear you.
All you can worry about is Kevin.
Yeah.
Let Kevin enjoy the present moment. You enjoy the present moment, your life will increase. Then when your life increases, people will listen to you. That's what's happening with my life. That's why we're on this phone call. This knowledge I learned, right? What are we at? Probably like 28 months. Within 22 months of learning this knowledge, I became a millionaire. Within 7 months of truly creating content on Instagram, social media, I have over 500,000 followers. So people are listening. So improve Kevin's life, and then people will listen to Kevin.
Yeah, I love it. Do you mind giving me a little bit of the story? What were you doing? What was work for you before? And are you comfortable to share how you made your million? I also can ascribe a certain level of wealth myself, but how did that come to be, or do you not want people to know that?
Sure. No, I mean, I'm open to talk about it. I mean, high level, let's see, I started off after college, I graduated college, computer engineering degree. I was probably like negative $30,000 in debt. Coming out of college, I moved to San Diego, got a job with General Atomics, making state-of-the-art military drones as a software engineer. Came out of debt, got to about, in a very short time, maybe like 4 years of investments, smart investments, investing in crypto, all that stuff. And then my net worth got up to about $150,000 or $200,000. And then I was like, what's this all for? I kind of had this breaking point of like, what am I doing? What's the purpose? Decided to quit my job, travel the world, start my podcast, and start some businesses. So
what was the year? When was that? I know in 2015 is when you kind of broke from the church, but when did you quit your job?
June of 2021.
Okay.
June 2021, quit my job. August 2021, left. Where did I leave? I left San Diego, started traveling the world, and just to find myself, right? That I had a spiritual, I had a breathwork session that had the voice of God, basically, and best I could say, that told me to do what I feared most. At the time, that was quitting my job, traveling the world, starting my podcast, starting my own business. And so I did that. And for the next 2.5, 3 years, I think, I'd have to look that up, I was just kind of searching, right? I was building the brand, I was doing all this stuff, and nothing was really clicking. Like, I was having these spiritual people on my podcast, spiritual content creators who you may or may not know. You can look up if you follow any, and it always felt like I was getting half the truth. I was saying like half.
Is Aaron Apke one of them or no?
Yeah. I had Aaron Apke on my podcast. Yeah.
Carry on.
He's cool. He's a cool dude.
I can't get to him. I'm a nobody, but carry on.
Well, he'll reply, but he's really busy. Even after he was on my podcast, I don't think he replied. I mean, I don't know. I haven't talked to him in a while. But yeah, where are we at here? Then I had my own place in Pittsburgh, set up a studio there, and then I had Brandon came on my podcast. Everything was like, I was starting to get stressed because the money was running out. When I met Brandon, I was actually probably around negative $5,000 in debt at that point, and nothing was clicking. And then after meeting Brandon, after meeting my guru, at the time I didn't know he was my guru, but then just listening to everything he was telling me, following the path that he was laying out, teaching me the way to view the world, the stuff we talked about, dedicating my life to Mother Nature. Within 22 months, my business started getting more clients. I started making more revenue through the podcast, the Instagram. I didn't start posting on Instagram, but since then I've been posting on Instagram, getting some brand deals in the back end. Let's see here, starting other businesses, launching my book, so all of these things have kind of just like brought in enough money mixed in with like the equity that I own in those companies. And then I have another company I have total of like 4 companies. So one's a social media platform. So all of these kind of mixture of small income, enough to survive and thrive, if you will. And then you put the equity on top of that. And well, last time I checked, it was 1.1 million, but I have not looked at it recently. So
Well, congrats on all your success, man. That's fantastic.
thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, but so that's like high level of how it played out. But number one thing I always tell people is dedicate yourself to saving nature, and she'll take care of you.
And then for two things, if we got to wrap, let me know. But two things I'd love to dive in is like, how do you identify like for those of us that need to put a title on you, right? Spiritually, like, are you a naturist? Are you an atheist? Are you a reformed Christian? Like, how would you define yourself that way to be understood by those people? Say again?
I'd say spiritual.
Spiritual. I want to ask so many more probing questions, but we'll save it for next time if there is a next time. And then, so I guess if I can red team you a little bit, I'm a deconstructed Christian. I'm a deconstructed capitalist, right? Capitalism, I think, shares the same power structure you talked about inherently. But yeah, we'll get into that. But it's like, so I'm a traditionally held conservative that I don't identify. But I guess I look at the page, and I know I was messaging you about this. It's like, the layperson is going to come to that page and like you've got 3 tenets or 2, free and good education and free, amicably free food, right? Are the 2 things. It's like, if we can do this, we can heal the world, right?
And free medication.
There it is. Thank you. And it's like, yeah, that sounds awesome. But then you sound like you don't understand how the world works. You just want to dole out money, right? And so can we just dig into that a little bit, or do we need more time to go through the I understand, and I've seen it. Like, financially speaking, we don't have a shortage. We have a surplus. We got billions going to porn. We got billions going to warfare. We got whatever, right? There's literally billions of surplus, but it's like, we got to operate in a system that is not ready for the revolution. So like, how can you quickly prescribe how you find it feasible to make those 3 things, air quotes, free?
Sure. Well, there's a couple things going on here, right? Number one is putting people in buckets. So like you kind of mentioned, capitalist, Republican, Democrat, socialist, communist. What people will do is that they'll place someone in that bucket, and then they can attack the bucket. It's no longer about the ideas. It's no longer about the person. Oh, he's a Democrat, so the Democrats are blah, 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 right? He's a capitalist, so capitalists are blah, blah, blah. It's no longer about the ideas. Number 2, getting maybe more financially responsible with the answer. You have to realize that it's all being poisoned, and it's all making us sick, and it's by design. So if you look up the history of it all gets tracked to the Rockefellers and the Carnegies, and especially specifically in America. And again, you would need a whole podcast to kind of dive into this, but we have improper education. We have slavery education. We're not taught how to think for ourselves. We're taught how to be slaves. We're taught that we have to raise our hand when we have to go to the bathroom. We're taught that we can't be talking to our neighbors for 8 hours of the day. We're taught that there's one universal truth that's sitting in front of us in the classroom, and they're the bearer of all. And then, so we're not properly taught. And then our food's poisoned. So your inner eye's blocked, your pineal gland's calcified. You can't think straight. So you have that. You couple it with then this cesspool of just improper education, convincing kids that they have attention deficit disorder, which is insane to me because they need to be outside. They need to be running around. They're kids. They need to explore their bodies. And yet they're being shoved into a classroom for 8 hours a day for the first 20 years, 18 out of the first 22 years of their life. It doesn't make sense. And then the medication, you medicate them. Oh, something's wrong, medicine. Oh, something's wrong, medicine. Oh, you need these petroleum-based medicines. The Rockefellers completely got rid of homeopathy. They completely got rid of natural herbs and remedies that could heal 90% of the issues that we have. So once we purify our food, stop with the atrazine, the fluoride, and I'm writing an entire book about this. So it's very doable. Once we actually do all of that, we will be even more in a surplus. By going these route, it actually saves us a ton of money. I actually just finished, I think, chapter 4 because I start out the book with these 3 items. And with the free food, free medication, free education, if we do it the right way, which can be done, has been demonstrated to be done, we would have a surplus. Oh, that's before nuclear. Nuclear disarmament's a part of this. Before nuclear disarmament, we would be at a surplus of, I think, like $600 billion per year. And then nuclear disarmament's the next part. If we have nuclear disarmament, it puts us at about $750 billion per year. So those 4 things alone would almost get us to paying off the interest on the debt that we have to the Federal Reserve. Of course, the money supply is a whole nother conversation with going back to the gold standard, but that's a part of the plan. And then obviously getting rid of income tax is a part of the plan. So there's a lot of stuff going on, and you kind of have to dive into the history of all of these issues to fully understand how it's just pragmatic. These things aren't socialist or capitalist. It's just pragmatic solutions to the problems that we're facing today.
And you just don't fret about how it happens because you know it's going to happen. You just have a divine confidence. Yeah, that's beautiful, man. That's like really special.
Look up. I was just watching this movie the other day. Have you ever heard of The Secret?
Nope.
I think it was 2006 it came out.
And so
watch that movie.
I will. Yeah, I'm very impatient and ADD. It might be tonight. So how do you understand? I've been like, so for me, my arc is like I was in college and I was just like, I come from a very conservative background and I'm in Boulder, so I'm like, they're all happy and gleeful because Obama's saving the world, and I go home and like it looks much the same, but opposite now, right? It's like, Obama's ruining the world, and it's like I'm like, for me that was the pit, and I'd say join the Marine Corps, and I used to when I would talk about change, everybody's like, it'll never happen, right? And it's like, it was this it's seemingly hopeless. And then of late, and maybe it's just kind of my new dawn, I break through or whatever, but it feels much like we're at the bottom of the trough, right? There's a spiritual revival coming. There's an awakening. It's like, we're coming into understanding the essence. I mean, very early, I think we're still at the bottom, right? But like there seems to be an uptick in awareness of like human existence, right? Nobody talks about that. We're all trapped by the market. But is that something that you share in that viewpoint? And how do you kind of see the world now versus the future state that you're ever certain, right? It's not an if, it's a when. And so how do you see it now versus where we're headed, or do you opine on that?
Let me ask you this. What is the most powerful weapon in the world?
Love.
Sort of. But if that was true, then love would be running America right now. Is love running America?
I think we abandoned it. Ask the question again. The most powerful weapon.
What is the most powerful weapon in the universe, really?
I mean, when you say universe, I think sun, but when you say universe, I'm like, there's more. I don't even know because it's so much bigger. But yeah, I mean, the divine, whatever the divine is, I believe that is love. But you stumped me.
The brain. Your brain's the most powerful weapon in the entire universe.
It is how you come to understand your own story and the story around you, eh?
What is it? There's a saying in India, something bhavati, etatam bhavati. It's something like, I think, therefore it is.
Yeah, got it. Okay. It's what's hard for me is I'm there, right? I'm like, I got you, I see you, and then I feel like I was put here to, like, I think it's perfect that I got this shitty cap on, I got this T-shirt that says anti-dumb, and you've got this suit, and I'm like, I was put on Earth to make very complex, I'm there, I got it, I get you, and I'm like, how do I bring people along? So I can't do that, but I think I'm going to definitely encourage people that are tuning into me, which aren't many, to bring me the questions and that they'd have for you, and I'd love to have you. I know you're busy, but yeah, I mean, I think I see what you see, and I'm very confident in its arrival and its deliverance when it's supposed to be, but it'd be fun to be able to share that with people, I think. And then other than that, what's interesting, or is there anything I missed that's worth talking about that you're up to?
No, I mean, I think this is a good first introduction meeting. It's cool to hear your story as well. And yeah, let's do it again soon.
Thanks for coming on, dude.
Absolutely. It was great to chat with you. Great to meet you. And we'll talk soon.
Thanks for listening to the Better Questions podcast. If you have questions or comments on this episode, feel free to reach out to us through our website, which you'll find in the show notes below. We also have a Linktree page that lists most, if not all, of the sites that stream the Better Questions podcast, and you'll find a link to that in the show notes as well. So you can click on that, find your favorite site, click on over and subscribe, and you'll never miss another episode. Thank you for listening. This continues to be an interesting journey, and we're happy to have you along for the ride.